Hello, you all. Welcome to this new edition of Lectio Musica, the place for great lyrics, great music, and great meaning. My name is Guylain. I'm a Franciscan friar from Canada. Love rock music for a long time, especially hard rock, metal, and prog. Once a week, I come back in my little office and I listen to a new song. Usually, it's a new song for me. In this case, we did an exception. Many of you asked me to make a full listening of the album Dark Passion Play. You already knew that a little while ago, in 2008 or 9, I literally was flabbergasted by that album. And I never got the chance to apart from these 5 listening I did in 2008, I didn't have the chance to really look at the lyrics closely, except 3 songs. Let me rephrase that in a clearer way. We began that journey 8 weeks ago, so that's 2 months to cover the whole album. We began that series, Dark Passion Play. But you have to know that I already did 3 songs of that album in a previous series, 24 songs to fall in love with Nightwish. You will find The Poet and the Pendulum. It's the chronicle, that's the video LM70 on YouTube. Just ask that, you will find it. I did also Amaranth, LM71, and 7 Days to the Wolves, LM72. Those 3 songs, they were already chosen by the fans to be part of that series on the 24 most beloved songs of Nightwish. So I didn't do the whole thing again, but you can find all the songs of Nightwish except one, Last of the Rides. I will listen to Last of the Rides. I have not been well informed about Last. I thought it was an instrumental piece, and in fact, it in at least one video I know of Nightwish, I know it's an instrumental piece. But I am aware now that there are Finnish words and English words, depending of the version. Sadly enough, when I looked for them, for those words 4 weeks ago, I couldn't find them. Now I know where they were. So this video, we will do a wrap-up of the album, of my I will say my journey through Dark Passion Play, the album that I absolutely love. I will do a review of it, and at the end we will listen together to first a version with lyrics in Finnish and English, and second a version in a live setting. Let's begin immediately. This is how I do my work. When I want to do a review of an album, I always have those 6, I would call it benchmarks, or they are, I use them to evaluate one album compared to another one. I gave 20 points for the music, 20 points for the lyrics, 10 points for prosody. Prosody is the art of combining words and melody. That's the exact, precise art of a song composer, a song, someone who makes songwriter as well. So both as a composer and a lyricist combine. The art of combining both. Singers and musicians, that's the interpretation, how they are good or not, and how they perform on the album. the meaning of the song. That's probably one of the elements with prosody. That's one of the elements that is very dear to me. For me, a great song is a song that will carry meaning through time. Okay, so there is, for me, it's important that the song means something. Finally, the quality of the production. I more like a, yeah, I never did any CD production at the professional level, but close. But I worked as well with those who are producers of great talent. I had the chance to work with them to evaluate each and every track of an album, for example, and how to make the whole mix. So I love to make a few comments on that aspect of the album as well. So, and all together at the end, I make a small addition that I have here, and it gives me a certain note on 100 that I transfer into a note in stars. I will give you my evaluation of that album. Let's begin with the music. This album is complex, varied, very satisfying to me, extremely satisfying, both from a metal and a general musical perspective. I think that you have a lot of stuff in there, and if I'm not convinced by all the songs, or I'm not sure why this song is in the album, I find that every song has something, carries something unique. We start with a very deep, dense overture called The Poet and the Pendulum, and we travel from anger to peace, but also from fragility to courage. This album is really a journey. It's a journey. For me, also in terms of music, it's the best artistic contribution that I've listened until now in Nightwish from Marco. For me, he shines in a way that I haven't found in other albums of Nightwish. He is, in this album, for me, top. Now, in terms of music also, this album celebrates the arrival of Troy. At the beginning, he has little input in the first one, yes, input, but in 3 or 4 songs at the beginning, all the way to Master Passion Greed, he is there, but as the album progresses, Troy becomes proeminent. He becomes, to be frank, a very, very important element of the texture, of the musical quality of the album. I would say from 40% of the album till the end. I love his contribution in that album. Now, in terms of lyrics, you know that it's mainly Thomas, but there are significant contributions by Marco and Empu, and I appreciated them. I would say that the contribution of Empu, called Sahara, if I'm not mistaken, I found this song beautiful by itself. I see less how it fits within the album, but the song by itself and the words, I found that song very interesting. It's just that it doesn't fit as well as the others within, I would say, general patterns of the album. Now, in terms of English poetry, Thomas has a style. I find him quite interesting. He has I would say, very classical approach to English. He uses a lot of expressions that we find in English poetry, yet He is not an English poet. I will explain to me. Everything he writes is in very good English. But the way he uses words, the way he writes his poetry, we can feel that there's a multi-layered many layers of meaning. I will say it like that. And this is already in this album, but of course it will become much more important in human nature. Human nature, it explodes in at every level, literally. This one has, I would say, a clear focus. Personally, I prefer a clear focus. That's why I love very much the writing. Even if the songs explores very contradictory feelings, I like the general focus of the album. So it's both precise and evocative, which is for me the very quality of poetry. For me, this is what I like. The beauty in images, the beauty in comparisons, yet it's precise, yet it doesn't say that much that we are like in a tunnel. There's only one meaning to the song. Everything is wide open at the same time, yet there's no doubt about what is the direction of the song. There's a direction. I like the focus of that album. We go into landscapes of the heart that we haven't seen before. Many songs talk about things we read before, so references to previous songs are obvious. But there are things, there are emotions that have not been explored by Nightwish that we find in that album, and to me, it's a success. Even if they are harsh, Bye Bye Beautiful, Master Passion Greed are successes. Musically, they are strong songs, and they really convey what they are talking about in a very efficient and artistically mature way. I love these songs. Like I said, in the case of Master Passion Greed, it's just that I don't connect that much to that kind of energy. But I love the song. I love the song, absolutely. Now, in terms of prosody, for me, this is Thomas Forte. For me, he is in rock right now. He is the master, or one of the masters. I find him, I haven't heard anybody at that level, even English speaking, with the quality of the words, the quality of everything that he says, and the connection with the music is exceptional. From that album, I don't remember if I had the same opinion of Imaginarium. I like Endless Form, Most Beautiful, and for me there are a few weaker songs in that album, but Human Nature for me is absolutely exceptional. So for me it's a 10 on 10 for that album and Human Nature. Now there's a deep, very deep coherence. I find Thomas to be impeccable at that level. The emotion is conveyed in the most effective way, both by music and lyrics together. There's magic happening in those songs. It's impossible not to be transported by this music, I think. For me, it worked. 100% it worked almost everywhere. Like I said, there's whoever brings is the one song that I find a little bit weaker, but yeah, there are 13 instrumental pieces in that album. It's above what everybody else gives. So for me, yeah. In terms now of interpretation, how the band members can embody the vision of the creators of that album, the rhythm section is phenomenal. For me, this album is, I will say it like this, Yuka at his best. Empu, the best. The tone of his guitars, his guitar play is fantastic. And the bass, both the sound, the tone, the play of Marco, for me, it's perfect. Perfect. I haven't written anything here about Thomas as a keyboardist, which he always asks of himself nothing but excellence, and this is what he does. He's fantastic. And for me, if keyboards has a place in metal, a good part of it is due to Nightwish, both for the instrument and the composer. And I would say Epica as well. Epica as well. The keyboardists are, for me, phenomenal. I like them very much. Now, in terms of vocalists, this album for me is the summit of Marco. For me, he is at his best. I cannot say the same thing with The Beauty of the Beast, for example. His voice is thinner. His voice is here. He has the grit, the strength, the richness. Everything is there. For me, it is his best album. Annette, she has her songs where she is exceptional, and I will even say for 2 songs that she is irreplaceable. I love the way that, for example, the way that Flor does Amaranth, and I think she does it very, very well. And but for me, there's a little something that she gets, that she has in that song. For me, it's a little bit more Annette than Flor, even if I love Flor on this one. Meadows of Heaven, Eva. These songs to me, they have a stamp, a certain kind of voice, and I'm sure that Flor could do them very beautifully. I have no doubt about this. But to me, in a way, they belongs to Annette. That is quite a change, and it asked, I think, to the composer especially, to rebuild his music with these new instruments where Marco is more present and where Annette is present, is with a very different kind of voice. And to me, it is a success. It is a success from all sides of it. This album, for me, because I did not live the deception, the frustration of fans who love very much Daria. I listened in 2008, that album, not knowing the previous era. And in 2008, I was completely smashed on the floor. I could not believe the quality of that album, but my opinion haven't changed. I understand people, they say, oh, Annette is not Daria. I say, oh yeah, you're right, but the album is great. It's absolutely great with Annette. So for me, It's a let's say it's another beast in a way compared to the Tari's era, and this beast is as beautiful as anything else. Uh, in terms of meaning now, this album explores the trauma of a separation from different point of view. This is how I understand mainly the album. If I keep this idea that of a dark passion play being a play not in a strict sense, beginning from A to Z, with every character doing something. I will say more. Here is what happened from all point of view when there's some kind of a trauma lived by individuals and by a group. And if, for me, this is fantastic. I find the album rich from that point of view as a work of art. Now, what is it that will survive of the child in an adult or in adults living that kind of trauma? Some parts will be literally shattered, but something will grow into an adult. And now the question is how the child can be still part of the adult's life. How the adult will not lose the best part of the child after living such events. And the danger, of course, is to kill the child. Hope, in a sense, everything that the child is so important in Thomas. It represents happiness. It represents so many things. How the child can survive in a situation of pain, of suffering. This album explores exactly this. Now, the meadows of heaven at the end of the album are those spaces within ourselves where we can go during our journey through life with moments of suffering. So there is a haven, there is an arbor where we can go within ourselves that will reconnect us with the very best, which is here the word heaven, the very best that we are, the very best that we were, and the very best that we will be if we do things correctly. Finally, the production. I am very much impressed by the great albums. This album is excellent in production. The capture of all the instruments, the mixing, to me, it's perfect. I love the taste of the Nightwish production team. Consistency is a key word here. Consistency in maybe not perfection, but excellence. Certainly excellence. It's remarkable. For me, it's only a matter of taste. It's only a matter of taste. I would have mixed things a little differently. Same thing with human nature. Little differently, or maybe this instead of that. But this is only tastes. This team knows what they are doing. They know what they are doing, and they do it very beautifully. For me, that's a 10 on 10 for this as well. I might have chosen to remove a song or to present them a little bit differently, but like I said, a matter of taste. Let's brush that away. It has no incidence on my judgment on this album. Now, for me, symphonic metal recording by itself is an accomplishment. Just the way, not the panini, probably autocorrect, just the pan of the instrument, the selection of the frequencies so that we can understand both the all the instruments being in the same area of frequencies is quite complicated to make this audible for the one who listens. This is one of the biggest puzzle you can have in studio recording. For me, symphonic metal is one of the biggest puzzles. Much more difficult. For symphonic orchestra, you have to have a great concert hall and great microphones that you put exactly where is the very best combination of direct sound and reverb, natural reverb of the place. Once you did that, you did your tests and you don't have anything to do. Of course, there will still be a few touch up, but that's it. Not so with symphonic metal. Not so. If modern music, like we hear on the radio right now, mostly done by one person in a studio, in a home studio very often, this would be child play. This and symphonic metal will be for me the Himalaya of recording, studio recording. For me, the difference is so important that you cannot believe. You need a whole team, specialists of classical instruments, probably specialists also of the kind of instruments that Troy plays, which are very specialized work to be done, and also, of course, a metal rhythm section and all this. The drummer specialist for recording is a beast by himself, and this is fantastic. This album is fantastic on this point of view. So altogether, what does that give? For me, it's a beautiful 4.5. You will say I have. That's what I gave to Human Nature. That's what I gave to another album, not another. Because I choose to make great albums. I spend that much time because I already know, or I suspect that these are great albums. If I compare this album with Human Nature for me is very close to 5. It's close to be a masterpiece, and only time will tell me that it is a masterpiece. But my appreciation of Human Nature was very close to 5 stars. This one is a little bit less, and it will say a 4.5. One thing I can say though is that even if I recognize that Human Nature is an album that is more mature, where everybody is absolutely outstanding, if I want to listen Nightwish with my heart, with my mind, with my grit, what would be my preference? It would be this one. I will listen more to this album regularly than I will listen to Human Nature. But Human Nature, that's the one I will pick if I have the best sound system I can have access to, or the better headphones, the very best headphones, and I will sit in a beautiful chair and listen. But I will be amazed. I will find new things again after listening to it dozens of times. But this album is closer to my heart in general. So that's why I appreciate it even more now than I appreciated it in 2008. So that's almost 14 years ago. It's unbelievable. I see myself hearing again Amaranth in a car with friends and asking to borrow the CD. No, and my friend offered me to lend me the CD. I listened to it with my headphones 4 or 5 times, and I was so amazed. I am still amazed. I am completely in love with that album, and it's always on my phone. Now, these days, I listen to it maybe once every 5 weeks. I love it. So, what is the menu for next week? We will go back to the warning. We analyzed their EP. That's Lectio Musica 80 to 86 last spring, or maybe before that. Now we will do the full album is out, and we already did 5 of the 15 album. I think it's 6 of the 15 songs of that album. The introduction will be treated with the song Money, which is the 5th song. The first 3 songs are already done, so maybe you would like to listen to them. Disciple is Lectio Musica 81, Choke is Lectio Musica 80, and Animosity Lectio Musica 82. In the EP, they were not in the same order. That's why it's not the same thing with the LP, with the 13 instrumental piece. Don't forget, I will do a reaction, and this time it will be complete reaction because I haven't heard those songs at all. Money, never heard Money. I know how talented they are, so I'll probably be amazed. Never forget that everything I say is in subtitles, so just activate closed caption, select your language. I put subtitles in 8 languages. Most people say that they are pretty good. So English, French, Italian, Spanish, Portuguese, Romanian, Finnish, and Dutch. So find yours. Sometimes just to have a few words in your language, you will understand perfectly well what I'm saying in English, in bad English or modest English. It's not my mother tongue, as you already know that. Don't forget, you can subscribe by clicking the subscribe button down here, and when you will click subscribe, a little bell will appear on the right hand side. Click on the bell. That will send you a notification whenever I put a new video on my channel. As for now, here is my surprise. You probably know what it is. We will listen together Last of the Rides. It's first a version with lyrics in Finnish, but there are the translation in French. I haven't listened to it, but I just watched the video without my earphones, and I saw that there was lyrics in English at the bottom. And after that, we will go and listen together a live version. Enjoy the ride, the last of rides, I think. Okay. In 3, 2, 1. We recognize the violin player. Oh, Northern Lights. We have that in Canada as well. Who's that voice? Melody, fantastic. Love it. I would have loved to analyze this song. So the first few comments out of nowhere, this idea that Thomas presented many times, the place of his cradle is the place of his death, and also this loneliness that he finds, where he finds himself. To be himself is you remember the poem at the beginning of the second section of Human Nature. I love the human presence. I love the human, but I prefer nature. And I think this is exactly what it says. To me, I get the general impression from now going through a lot of the repertoire of Nightwish that the composer and writer is what we call in North America a country boy. A country boy, it's not pejorative, it's not negative. It's to say that he belongs to his country. He belongs deeply to his country. He's connected to it, and this is where he finds himself. He, of course, a country boy can be a musician, travels all around the world. And of course, a metal musician will be in front of big crowds in big cities. He will be very often in front of medias, journalists, photographs, and he longs for the calm sweetness and the silence of his Mother Earth, of the land where he grew up and where he lived as a child. And probably this sense of communion is something calling constantly. And I think this is why also Nightwish, from what I can see, I don't know anybody personally, but what I can get from the band is that it's a family. It's a family. And at one moment, the family got had a few hits. They had to regroup themselves, rebuild something, new trust, and to start over again. And I think that is why it's so painful, because Thomas is not only I would say an alliance of business. There is something that is deeply human. To have the result of consistency in the quality of album, dedication of the same personnel the one mixing the album, is the one mixing the shows, and people are there for so many years. And during the pandemic, Nightwish and Nuclear Blast, they still paid their personnel, all this kind of stuff that we know here and there, bits and pieces. I think this is what this song says. It's a meta. We call this a meta song. Now, Last of the Wilds, is he the last of the samurai? Is he the last of the Mohican? Is he the last of the wild? By that meaning that basically I'm a wild creature. And I think that this combination of a wild creature being at the same time timid in front of the city and being wild, somehow, somewhere dangerous at the same time. I think this is what the song says, in a way, the beauty. But the wild finds himself in nature. This is where he belongs. This is where he is. Okay, here we are for this live presentation of Last of the Wilds. 3, 2, 1. Oh my lord. So all little abstracts. Let's have a sip of beer. Yeah, I knew it. Even Marco plays smoothly on this one. Oh, try without a beer. Luca. Small stage. This one is an instrumental version. Because drums sound so great. They had a violinist for some part. Oh, that's a much bigger stage. Works, eh? finding peace back home. It's a perfect opening for Meadows of Heaven, but in between there's 7 days to the war. That's courage is needed. To find peace, courage is necessary. Marco has to kneel down to be the same height as Empu. Yeah. I love Nightwish in that fashion. Love Nightwish like that. Call this trad metal in Quebec. Folk trad. You can clearly hear traditional music, and so it brings into metal the life of grounded music, the life of those kinds of music that are blossoming from living a full life. I love this kind of metal. Well, that's it for the 4.5 stars for this album. Love it. I would have loved to add this song, but it will be for the next time. Next week we see each other with The Warning.